So, good evening and good morning. As we begin this circle of harmony, just ingathering our consciousness, we can focus on our breath, we can focus on the chant of compassion, the chant of Avalokiteshvara. Breathing in the present, breathing out in the present for just 2, 3 breaths more. Invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's grace and presence, the Divine's presence, as we begin today, in a sincerely aspiring for more sincerity, more openness, more receptivity, more courage. Thank you. So, reminding ourselves that this is a sharing circle, and it would be beautiful if we can actually share from our own experiences on the topic that we have loosely decided to take up to give the talk, the sharing circle a focus. And the topic today is complaint free life. So we have been taking it from I think last 3 times we have the same topic, and hopefully today we'll wind it up. Complaint free life. So as we have been discussing that it takes some time for one to realize that one is even complaining. That underlying chatter, that mechanical mind that goes on repeating the same loop. And now that we are hopefully more and more conscious of that chatter, and we are convinced of the harm it's causing us, that it's not neutral, it's holding us back, it's causing more negativity in our lives, it's keeping our mind occupied somewhere else where it can be somewhere else. So looking for ways how to step back, how to look at the chattering and to, this kind of not be very connected, not become the chatter while the chattering is happening, because we did read that, and we will read more. The mechanical mind is there a long time. And you know how it's said that it's like, I think Jet Sunmala says that it's like the TV is on and you're trying to read. So it's like that your focus is on the book. The TV you cannot switch off. So that's how it is. So we have basically touched a few surfaces. And I had requested that, we had another week and we should look more at, say, to see if if they're, where am I complaining? How am I complaining? How is it serving me? How do I think I can let go? So before we take up more things, more, readings, any reflection, observation that we would want to share with all of us so that we all can learn and it helps us. Okay. So I have a sharing. So I will just share that from my own personal experience. Yes, yes. Charuji, please, you first you share.
No, no, Taru, you share,
No,
then I will
no,
share.
I would prefer you sharing. I to keep talking. Please, thank you.
Okay. Okay. So as soon as I decided, this non-complaining, since a week, I've been, trying to see more complaints about others. It was, very funny also. But when I think that I should not complain, but my mind, it comes. First, it comes. So I didn't, maybe 50% I controlled myself. I thought I should change. But other 50% I did complain. That was really very funny of me. So till 4 days, it was okay. I was thinking if somebody says something, it's okay. They are like that only. They are like that only. All like big saint. I was telling myself. Sometimes it will come till here. Then I will correct myself. It will not. I will not be able. I will not be saying that. But sometimes I did complain. But yesterday we went for a dance program for first time when a little girl was dancing, so we went. So the person near me was keeping on saying this girl's expression is not good. She's having eyes are not speaking, her face is not good, makeup is too much. Continuously she was complaining about the person who was dancing, that little girl. I think why this lady is always from for 2 hours, one or the other, come continuously she has been telling something. Then at that time I was thinking, it's good that God saved me, I didn't feel anything like that. See, it was over. But today, when I was talking to somebody, I started complaining about the other person, like continuously. Then I thought, then, so you always ask, no, aapka ho gaya kya? So it was very funny. After complaining, I finished complaining for 3 minutes. Then I thought, no, I should not complain. And today we are going to meet in the harmony circle. See, I made a big list. 2, 3 things I complained about somebody. After complaining, I realizing is what is the use, no? Then I thought, what is this? Then I thought I will not come today for the harmony circle because I didn't keep up my word. Then I thought it's okay, I'll go. So which was very funny. And maybe, as you always say, Monica says, it is there in the nature. We have to keep on little by little. We have to every day. We have to keep cleansing it. Anyway, let us try. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I just requested us to be more observant towards complaining. I never said don't complain because I know how tough it is. And thank you for coming and not letting it, yeah, dissociate you. Yeah, anybody else that they would want to share at this point?
This is Tia here. So since this was a New Year week and we had a lot of new things, most of us have started. So I found it easier to complain less since the focus was on other things like yoga or any new activities. So I found this week much better in terms of complaining.
Yes, thank you, dear. Thank you. So, welcome Cyrus, Ritu, Umaji. And we were just sharing that if you want to share any experiences or reflections on the topic, since we have been on the topic from the last 3 weeks, anything we observed during these sessions or last week that we would want to share for learning, for more expansion, to put more light onto our darknesses, that don't need to be in dark anymore. Acknowledging it, accepting it so that I can drop it, right? So that I can offer it. So if there's anything, kindly share, otherwise we'll move forward.
Yeah, Taru. I would like to say that whenever these patterns come, I quickly turn to Mother and Sri Aurobindo and chant the mantra. So it has become now quite less and it's helping me. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Last week only, or I don't know, last to last week, you were asking what to do. And that's such a perfect solution, right? Like how, say, when Dia was saying that it's the new year and there was so much to do, so I realized it was easier to complain less. So, I realized that there's an active complaining, right? Outside complaining, and there's that inside complaining. So the active complaining is still easier to control. It's slightly easier when we are better occupied. And the inside one is how, you share that, okay, because I'm used to saying something. In Buddhism, it's called, I felt, how when, especially because I heard it from Jetsun Malay, I'll use her name. She talks about self-cherishing mind. So there's something in me which says I am right. And I don't know, A, B, C, D, E, F till Z. They could be wrong in different situations because I am right. Injustice was done to me. Insensitivity was done to me. Attention wasn't paid to me. Truth wasn't spoken to me. But what about the times when I did injustice? I didn't speak the truth, for example. If I see greed in me or any, say, business transactions, I take that as okay, I'm earning a living. But when I see the same greed in others, I find it very repulsive. How's that fair? And yet we see it so often. So just, this active and passive is also there, that there's something about me which feels I am the poor one, the victim, the right one, and the world is needs to be corrected, or I can crib about it. And it gives me a sense of satisfaction that, oh, see, by cribbing, I feel I'm better, I'm good, I'm nicer. I don't know, I saw that. And one more thing that I observed was that really helped me that say, sometime back I had shared this, maybe it's at least 1.5 years. I remember once, I was in a home where the bedrooms were upstairs and the kitchen was downstairs and stuff. And when I had to send my kid to school, I had to do that up and down several times. Okay, I'll go and wake him up, then I'll go and do this, then and I was like kind of thinking, oh my God, why am I doing everything kind? And fast forward, I slipped somewhere else, not in the home. I got an ankle sprain, and then I was on bed complaining that why, oh my God, I can't do anything. So then I realized that the fact that I can do so much is so much to be grateful for. And for a long time, especially in that routine, I wasn't complaining. I was grateful till, of course, slowly, it comes back. So, again and again, I'm realizing that we have experiences. Life teaches us small things. We say that, oh, yes, I've learned now. And then I forget and I fall back into the loop if I'm not careful. So how we were talking about gratefulness, that in the same thing that if I'm complaining about, if I can be grateful, not just saying this because it sounds good or it's the right thing to do, if I'm genuinely feeling grateful for, I don't know, the extra work that I have to do, that I have the capacity mentally, physically to do it, it really helped me switch my gear back. Just a reminder that remember what you had learned, and it changes. And once you change, almost immediately, and we have all had experiences with this, that if I change my center, suddenly the world around me seems to have shifted itself. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share just at the beginning, that some experiences from last week that I saw closely. So at any point, please feel free to unmute and share. Just at the beginning, just sharing some light quotes I like that I thought would help shed some more light. Although may not be totally related, and yet they help, it kind of made me think about this. So here it says that it's from Khalil Gibran, the truly great man is he who would master no one and who would be mastered by none. So I realized, or I felt, that when I am complaining, I'm claiming to be the master, that see, I am the one complaining, and yet I am being mastered by the circumstances, the situations, mostly the past, right? So I am again being a slave of circumstances that have happened a long time back, maybe, but because of my constant churning of the same thing, it appears that I'm mastered, or I'm trying to master, yet nothing, neither mastering or trying to master or getting mastered is my goal or should be my goal.
Yeah, just wanted to add, I think that what what Charuji said was very nice. I sometimes I feel that two things, one, uh, you do get harder and harder situations. This is also true. So you might think, oh, okay, I'm not complaining, and then time goes by, and then you'll get like more tricky. I was just along those lines. I mean, and it's so wonderful that she can laugh at it, and that is also beautiful. Uh, I was yesterday. I haven't attended the earlier sessions on this, but I was at just regular picking up some uh, groceries and all this other stuff. Normally here went on Sunday. I was very busy, and already everything was late, and so I'm waiting. The whole parking lot here is full, and I'm waiting, and uh, there's a person who's going to get out. So I said, "Chalo, I'll wait here only." I mean, if there was somebody like the person who takes the longest time to get out of a parking lot, this person was that guy. And I was like, what is this fellow doing? So literally, I'm just waiting there, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. I'm like, does he ever want to go? And he was in the motion, and he was not old. He was just a regular person. And then, the irritation started going up. I'm like, what is this? What's wrong with this person? I mean, is he ever going to get out? Then, of course, then that observation also comes, right? Okay, chalo, it's not, let's not get annoyed. But it's there. And, so one cannot, this thing. And then, you use it then as a way to say, okay, okay, I have to, I have to look at it as an opportunity, right? So, I don't know if this is relevant, but I will say it anyway, if it's okay, Taru. There's a beautiful story. I think some of you may have heard it, but it is from New Delhi ashram only. I think it is Aparna Di, and she gives this story. Can I say it? Like take about a minute or two.
Absolutely. You don't have to ask.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's so there's like a two farmers, just basically taking their bullock, and so the bullock falls into a little bit deeper ditch, and there's a little water there into this thing. So, anyways, they try to pull him out. They can't pull him out. They say, well, what to do? We tried so much. We can't pull him out. So they say, well, we might as well just bury him here only, right? They start throwing sand on him. So this poor fellow, he's already in the ditch. And then he's like, uh, he's like, help me. And then, they're throwing sand. And he's like, what the hell are these guys doing? Pehle to I'm right here. Now you're throwing sand at me. So initially he gets very perturbed and he gets very agitated. Then he sees as they keep putting the sand is making him rise. Right? So then he starts looking for the next thing of shovel of sand to fall. So see, that is so beautiful. Like I felt that was such a beautiful story that then you're actually waiting for the next opportunity that can make you progress, right? That is the part where there is a joy to it. You don't look at it, ki, Arey, and even if you slip, which I mean, I think as this will happen, but you still say, okay, chalo, there'll be another opportunity, and you can bet everything you have on it that there'll be another opportunity because it has to come until it is like in a way almost mastered. It will keep coming. So that's the thing that I felt this was such a beautiful story. So you have two ways of looking at anything. Ki, oh, what and you might even think, oh, I have progressed, and then you still slip. But then you think, okay, ठीक है यहाँ अभी तक थोड़ी सी things are not right, right? So you work on it. So I just wanted to share that.
Yes, thank you. It's like again how it's said that, the circumstances of my life, my relationships, my situations are there to teach me. But because I'm so stubborn and I'm so self-centered and self-cherishing that rather than learning, I'm like complaining and crying and I lose the lesson. I keep losing the lesson, and the good or the bad thing is then the things just keep happening, happening, happening till I realize that, oh, this too is grace, and I learn and I go stronger. Yeah, thank you. So I'll just be taking up some readings from Incarnate Word. We read some small passages and let's see what we can do. And then there's some videos that I would want to share. So if anybody is willing, if they can just read this for us, otherwise I will.
The mental, physical, or mechanical mind. The mental, physical, or mechanical mind. That is the nature of the mental skill to go on repeating without use the movement that has happened. It is what we call the mechanical mind. It is strong in childhood because the thinking mind is up and has besides a narrow range of interests. Afterwards, it becomes an undercurrent in the mental activities. It must now have characteristics of the mental physical because it is in sorry it is in the physical that the action has come down. Sometimes also when there is silence of the mind, these things come up till they also are quieted down. I
Yes,
don't really
thank you.
understand.
it just talks about, this mechanical mind that we have, that its nature is it's repeating without use the movement that has happened, right? Sometimes when we observe ourselves, we find ourselves repeating things or thoughts or memories, right? Okay, this happened, that happened, something. I see a glass and then I go back, oh, I got this glass 10 years back, and then this happened, like, which has no bearing, no use, no nothing to me. Just that this is the nature of the mental, physical, to go on repeating without use or without use the movement that has happened. It is what we call the mechanical mind. So in childhood, it is being said that it's quite common because we don't think it's mechanical, right? Whatever we have in front, we think about that and we don't think about consequences or anything. It's just mechanical. Not mechanical, it's more active, right? After it becomes an undercurrent. At first, it's conscious and then it becomes like it's an undercurrent that we don't even know it's happening, and it's happening unless we become aware that it is happening. So, just the fact about repeating that we see in ourselves, that's the nature of the mechanical mind. Yeah. So, just wanted to share that even the second one, the mechanical mind is a sort of engine. Whatever comes to it puts into the machine and goes on turning it round and round and round. Like it doesn't have to be any quality, it doesn't have to have any need. But the nature is that, okay, anything that comes, it just starts churning it. So that's the thing that I just wanted us to, we know that and yet re-know it and stuff so that when we see it, we can see the mechanical thing. So anytime anybody would want to share something, please do. Yeah, this was both funny and maybe not, but so mother says the gramophone is obviously symbolic of the mechanical mind. Again, the repetitive nature of it. I thought it was funny and very visual for us that next time we see ourselves, especially when we are repeating, loops, things in loops, we can remind ourselves that what's happening.
So mechanical mind is okay, but what is mental physical?
Yeah, let's go back to it and see. Do you see the screen or do I have something else on for you?
It's there.
Okay. So here, it's a whole article, a whole passage. The mother is talking about the mental, physical, or mechanical mind. So one thing is we are using our mental faculties, right? We are using discernment. We are choosing our thoughts, right? That this is what I want to think about. This I don't want to think about. So that is, according to my limited knowledge, the mental, physical mind, that I have a choice. It's conscious. I'm using my mind. And the other is the mechanical mind, which is just churning it again, itself. That I don't even need to give it any force. It's happening by itself. That undercurrent that we spoke about. So that's the difference as per me. Does that make sense?
So our mental physical is different and mechanical mind is different.
Yeah, so when I'm using my mind, that's mental, physical. When I'm not using it, it's just happening, right? If we see
Mhm.
somebody who has done something bad to us, say maybe a neighbor who was rude. So when I see her, I don't have to actively think that, oh my God, see, she's still here. You remember what she did to me? It just goes, right? It comes by itself. So that coming of itself, that it's just happening, is the mechanical mind. Sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah, so thinking consciously is mental physical, and thinking without thinking what you're thinking is mechanical mind.
Just thinking. A lot of times people might say, "What are you thinking?" And you don't even know, right? And yet you are thinking. So without consciousness, and that is why the importance, the stress on awareness is very important, because so much I'm doing, thinking, feeling, experiencing, complaining, not even realizing I am doing all that. So the first thing is to make it more aware, I'm still doing it, but I'm aware of it. Because if I become aware of it, I won't be able to do it that much. And then it'll become less and less and less. Is that
Okay, yeah.
hmm? So again, this is from the mother. Would anybody like to read this? Again, small, small snapshots which I just felt, they might seem very random, but which I felt would shed some more light.
Yeah, Taru, I'll read.
Thank you.
To be able to detach oneself from the action of the mechanical mind is the first necessity, so that it may be like a noise in the street which passes and which one can ignore. It is easier then for the quiet and peace of the mind to remain undisturbed by the action, even if it occurs. I'll read it one more time. To be able to detach oneself from the action of the mechanical mind is the first necessity, so that it may be like a noise in the street which passes and which one can ignore. It is easier then for the quiet and peace of the mind to remain undisturbed by the action, even if it occurs. If the peace and silence continue to come down, they usually become so intense as to seize the physical mind also after a time. If the peace and silence continue to come down, they usually become so intense as to seize the physical mind also after a time. Thank you.
Yeah. Any reflections or sharings on this?
When we read that book, the conversation with Pavitra, I think that Shivadu was saying something very similar. I remember basically, I think there was almost a lot of similarity in what was just read.
Mm.
Remember that?
Yeah,
Where he
yeah,
talks about this heart. Yeah.
yeah. And that was very helpful because he was, gradually seeing things and discussing, and he was showing more light. Yeah.
Yeah, on this, mechanical, uh, very interesting. Sometimes, I'm sure it happens to everybody. And today also, I got up and then some random song, I don't know where it is coming from. I just constantly play constantly. So that is very classic, right? I mean, just like random things, just from where they come, you have no idea. But also that this is in the, I think as mother says, like it's the noise on the street. I mean, you may never be able to control it, but it's just there. This is I think that the key, at least the way I understand it, is not to identify with it, So I think that's what I was remembering Shravan was saying to Pavitra. You just let it, it's like a background mein chal raha hai, you just ignore it. And it's there. Because, we think all of these, even thoughts, and we were having a discussion in our this thing here, center here, and about this um, lower vital thoughts, and then but we think often that these are our thoughts, so that is not true. They're just there. I mean, this is the environment we live in. People are always thinking, really pathetic things. And same thing with this mind. Useless thing people are thinking. That was a majority of. So, but the key, I think, is somebody was saying, was not to identify. You see it come up, you say, okay, I think, and that is exactly what Shivandu was saying, telling Pavitra.
Yeah, and for us, it's not that we only do identify, we start taking a lot of rasa in it, right? It's very juicy. And that's why we keep slipping further and further and further, and it becomes a habit. So, yeah. So we had seen a short video of this and I'd shared a bigger one, but there's another video which talks about the whole this thing only. 1 second. Maybe we can start with this. So let's stop share so that we'll just see a short video again.
Shows that most people complain once a minute in a typical conversation. Complaining is
I'm sorry, it's a bit hard. Yeah, normal. Okay. So it just said that most people they found in a research that they are complaining every
tempting because it feels good. But like many other things that are enjoyable, such as smoking or eating shitloads of bacon for breakfast, complaining isn't good for you. You see, your brain loves efficiency and doesn't like to work any harder than it has to. When you repeat a behavior such as complaining, your neurons branch out to each other to ease the flow of information. This makes it much easier to repeat that behavior in the future. So easy, in fact, that you might not even realize you're doing it. Think about something as simple as accessing a particular app on your phone that you use regularly. You don't have to look for it carefully the next time. Your fingers automatically know which way to swipe to quickly get to it. You can't blame your brain. Who would want to build a temporary bridge every time you need to cross a river? It makes a lot more sense to construct a permanent bridge. So your neurons grow closer together and the connections between them become more permanent. Scientists like to describe this process as neurons that fire together, wire together. Repeated complaining rewires your brain to make future complaining more likely. Over time, you find it's easier to be negative than to be positive, regardless of what's happening around you. Complaining becomes your default behavior, which changes how people perceive you. And here's the kicker. Complaining damages other areas of your brain as well. Research from the Stanford University has shown that complaining shrinks the hippocampus, an area of the brain that's critical to problem solving, memory storage, and intelligent thought. Damage to the hippocampus is scary, especially when you consider that it's one of the primary brain areas destroyed by Alzheimer's. Complaining is also bad for your health. While it's not an exaggeration to say that complaining leads to brain damage, it doesn't stop there. When you complain, your body releases the stress hormone cortisol. Cortisol shifts you into fight or flight mode, directing oxygen, blood, and energy away from everything but the systems that are essential to immediate survival. One effect of cortisol, for example, is to raise your blood pressure and blood sugar so that you'll be prepared to either escape or defend yourself. All
Yeah, I think I'll stop this video here because I'll share it again. So a lot of things that it's harmful, how it's harmful, but again, the mechanical nature of it, that it just happens by itself, the way we live, and we have to put a active stop on it. I have to choose, how Vishal was saying, that don't do this. Like, I know I have to step back or, like have a distance from it. So that has to be a conscious effort. So just that was more just for that, and I'll share it so that if we are interested, we can watch the whole thing. So I have some small clips from Jetsunmala again talking about the same thing so that we can get more light. But before I take that, I feel I'm rushing a little bit today. I don't know why I want to complete it, but if not, we'll take it up again. So taking a pause and breathing and asking if there are any reflections on what we read, what we want, anything we want to share. Nandini had joined quite late. Nandini, in the beginning, we were just sharing about what we saw. If there was something we saw about our need to complain, any pattern, any. So if you have any sharing, I know you actively take these things, very seriously. So if you would want to share before we move forward, if there's anything, no pressure, obviously.
Sorry. I think at the background. I was no for me. I think it's where what I have realized in myself that complaining. How I understand complaining, of course, again, it's a ladder that complaining is of so many types, right? So there is, of course, things that like you actively say it out. You complain that this is not good, or I'm not happy with the job. I'm not happy in a relationship, in this and that. But sorry. But and then there is like this likes and dislikes. Even in Gita, there's a lot of focus on really transcending what I like and what I don't like. So I've also seen that even though I feel, I think I don't complain too much, because for a very long time I had this, um, this assumption that I don't complain too much. I'm usually have gratitude for things that I'm happy. But then I've seen that, but even though I don't complain, that complain is not in sense of saying it, but I have so much likes and dislikes. I want things to be a particular way. I want my kitchen, to be like that. In food, I would like to have only vegetarian food, or, like only this. That is so much of that, because in my mind, it's virtuous to be like that, for example. Or even at work, I would like people to give their best or something like that, or whatever, because I think, and the strong likes and dislikes. So I think that is also complaining. At least now I've realized that this is my way of complaining, that I don't have acceptance for, I don't make space for people and things which are different from me. So different still annoys me, it brings me down. I don't like it, my center gets dislodged. So just I was thinking to myself that what is complaining is also good to know, because the usual understanding of complaining, many of us, might be in a state that okay, we don't really complain, but this, at least for me, it's like very much liking, disliking, this kind of clothing, this kind of that, things to be, that is also, I think, complaining. Because till the time I reach that bhav that everything that comes to me, every moment that comes into my life is given by her, and I have to really accept it in that state. uh, It's, I can never say that I don't complain or I complain less. Maybe the nature is different. And other thing also, sometimes I also realize that how do I know that I'm in a state of gratitude and complaining? Like that's also I've seen that how would I even sometimes they say plant in Buddhism, there's a lot of focus. Thich Nhat Hanh would always say that plant water good seeds in you. He, thoughts and seeds, that thoughts are like seeds. So if you're planting good seeds in you and in others, they will flower. For a very long time, my mind is like, we were reading as well, Vishal was sharing that it's constant. 24 into 7 we are thinking. So like how would I even know what is a good thought and a bad thought, or what is to be in a state of gratitude and in complaining? And then I don't know where I read. I think it was Jasunma only. I think I read one in heard in some of video, somewhere else, and I really liked it. They say is that you can always know it by sensations. So be aware of the sensation. So if a particular, for example, the other day I was doing something, and I was organizing, and I put a statue in a particular way, and my husband,
He came and he changed it, right? And I came and I was so annoyed that this look I did so beautifully. How could this got changed? Like, why is it in this way, not that way? And in my mind, it was perfect. Like, I did really good. But as soon as I thought it, there was, like my in sensation, there was like my throat got clenched. I had a lot of unease in my body. I was not, my mind was really, rushing. And immediately I sensed that, okay, this is not a good thought. This is not a good thought. Maybe this is also beautiful. This is also a way of doing it. And as soon as I thought that, I felt really relaxed. There was so much relaxation, all those sensations away, and that was a big realization for me that this is how we can really know in what state we are. How am I feeling in this moment? Am I really at ease? Am I thinking of the divine, or am I connected with my breath, whatever is the way? How's my state of mind? How does my body feel? How is the body? Is it light? Is it heavy? And that will actually tell us that are we in sync, are we in harmony, or are we in a state of complaining? Because otherwise we might think that we are like, at least for me, oh, I don't come too much. But it's not that, because mind is not still, body is really heavy, all those sensations are present, which tells me that I'm not really watering the seeds of gratitude, or this. So maybe just these were the things that I just keeps coming, keep trying, keep falling. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you. It's an excellent point that, we might be doing and we are doing a lot of things which we say, oh, it's just natural, or "Oh, it's so obvious that I'm right," or, and we were discussing this in the beginning as well. But to know where all we feel that I'm right, the other is wrong, and how we were discussing last time too, that, how is this possible? Like using reason, everybody we talk to mostly feel that, they are so good, they are kind, they are so concerned about everyone, and yet the world is a bad place. So if there are 100 people in the world and 100 people are thinking that they are good and the world is bad, the community is bad, how is that possible? So there's some disconnect happening at some place. So when I'm next time, what you were saying, simply just stating, oh, this was perfect and the other is not, we can see that, oh, see what I am doing. Yeah.
And I remember my mother used to complain a lot, about things. And I used to get so annoyed at her. I used to think, why is she complaining so much? Why? And I used to always want her to not complain for very long, from the time I was child. But now, when I reflect back, I think even that insistence on us wanting people not complain is also a complaint, which is was a big like hallelujah moment for me, because of course intention is good, right? You read, okay, this is, you shouldn't complain, but then you start expecting everybody around you as well that, okay, I'm not complaining for a week, so nobody near near me should complain. And then I feel that, and I think this was discussed in a class with Monica, where there was, I think I shared it or somebody shared it, of a person who, like, who are like, some people are so good at seeing only the good in people, only the best, that they even will see that their complaining has a seed. So I remember as an example being shared where there was this person who used to say that, look, even if his son is complaining that there's so much traffic and he gets really agitated, he actually wants a world where there shouldn't be traffic and everybody should be at ease. So that's a good intention with which he's complaining. So that is not actually a complaint. So, like, I was boggled that people can even have that ability to see that in a good sense, whereas I, for example, I don't like when too much complaining happening, and oh my god, this is negative energy, and all of that. So yeah, even that, expecting other people not to complain is also actually a complaint.
Yeah, thank you. On the same thing, I don't know, at this time or some other time, it was shared that, somebody had said that there are certain people we have to let go from the ashram. They had given mother a list. So mother said, no, he does this well, he does that well. And then there was the last person remaining. And I think mother said it, but doesn't he put stamps very nicely on the letters that we have to go out? So we must keep him. It was very sweet that he put stamps very nicely. So yeah, it depends on us. There's no Jesse. what वैसी दृष्टि जैसी I don't know what
जैसी दृष्टि वैसी
वैसी
सृष्टि, yeah.
सृष्टि, yeah. Hmm. So we are, I don't know, an hour goes by really fast, or at least I feel it does. So we are almost at the end. I had a lot more things to share. So, but before that, and maybe not this time, any more reflections, anything that we have read today that stood out for us, and anything we would want to say to that so that we all can maybe become more aware of it? Anything?
I think the thing that Nandini said, I mean, I think Nandini, she answered her own question, right? Like, so that is what I also see or feel is that, if there is an agitation, then it is a problem, right? So I do not, at least I do not take it. Uh, you cannot say something, and I think the last part you said also is very nice that I mean, you can make an observation. It does not mean that you're losing your faculty of like distinguishing, as Shobhandu says about food, it does not mean that you cannot say Rasgulla is very nice and some Karela is maybe not, is very bitter. I mean, that does not mean that, right? That is an absurdity to think that, "Arey, I just lose distinction between everything, but that it should not bother you. I think that was a very beautiful point. And I think if it bothers, then you know that actually, as Mother says so beautifully, that there is something in you that is of the same quality because you can only respond to something that you also have. So I think that is a wonderful point you made.
Here I feel that there was something else. Like, usually we have heard this, right? That see how one is feeling, if one is feeling expanded, if one is feeling, right, constricted, and that helps. And yet, when I started actively taking this no complaining thing, like from the last 6 to 8 weeks, I uncovered, like Nandini was sharing, like I didn't even know I was complaining. So if I don't even know I'm doing this, or there's this underlying chatter, the undercurrent that we read about, I don't react to it actively because I'm not complaining actively. So in that case, this thing is not very effective unless it comes in my conscious attention that kya kar rahe ho? What are you doing, right? And unless that happens, when it happens, then I can stop because then I can feel it's not good, it's not helping me. Yes, Umaji, thank you. But otherwise, it doesn't come to my notice, and I am not able to utilize it. And that is why the stress on awareness again and again. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Your brain, your mind, even when you were saying, even JK shares a lot, right? That the things you say you like, you complain, you don't like, it's a collective. There's no you in it. So, lot of things I'm saying or complaining about, which I don't even know that I'm doing. So, putting it, I don't know, more becoming more aware of it. And this is why probably such sessions maybe can be more helpful, that they are able to help us become more aware. Because once we are actively aware, then we realize that it's not innocent, it's not neutral, it is harmful. And I don't know, it's not something I would voluntarily want to do. I remember in the very one of my first sessions, retreats with Acharya Prashant, he had said something that if we were to, if a recording of my thoughts, if our thoughts, he was saying of all of us, including him, of our thoughts were to be played in front of us, that these are the things I thought about today. He said we'll all be very ashamed of ourselves. So all those things that go. So one of the things that is now coming to me, which I've heard many times before, but how it's becoming a practical experience, that whenever I see myself wanting to complain and I'm seeing I'm going there again, a voice in my head says, you can choose what you are thinking. And I stop. You can, it's like I don't know, it just comes that choose your thoughts, choose your thoughts. And this, followed by whatever, some quietness for some time. So I think again, awareness is the key so that these faculties, these resources, these practices that we have read about, we have the chance, the opportunity to put them into practice. Yes, please, inviting more reflections before we end today, if any.
I think that's wonderful, Taru. Sorry, just to totally see your point that yes, the backdrop has to be one of constant that awareness. But the only thing I would say is this part, right? When we say your thoughts, that personally I feel is thoda, because see where I feel that goes. This thing is like I just sorry, I'll take a little more time. Like like let's say you had a bad thought. What is the first thing that most of us have? How am I, right? Like I have this bad thought, and we can have bad thoughts. At least I have plenty of them. Somebody does something, I get like really that even if it is a momentary thing, that anger is there. Now you think you have a bad thought, and then the forces will try to make you feel, oh, you're a pathetic person. You had this thought, what you're talking about yoga and all this, you've been, it's all humbug. So, but that is because that is again the slippery slope of identification, right? That is the point I think that where I really feel like, so it is not to say ki that means I can just keep having bad thoughts. No, but it is to say that okay, this is I responded to this. Your thought is there, and I think this is the probably like, and this is not something I'm like some being told over and over by so people have also said it's just there in the environment we live. I mean, unless you're living in like in some hermitage, or and even there it would be there, but for most of us, it is just there. Everybody is thinking around you, and who knows what useless activity just in the subconscious, they're just churning it out. You'll catch it if you're tuning into that frequency, you will catch it. So that is just how it is. So that I feel is where one can make a distinction that they are not my thoughts, or they're not my feelings. These are universal feelings, universal thoughts, but we can all choose to tune our consciousness whether to that level or to something higher. So that's the only thing I thought I would just add. But definitely,
Yeah.
I think the awareness has to be the key.
Yeah. So, here what was coming to me was that it's not that we don't have bad thought, and that's not even the problem. The problem is how much time I am giving them analyzing and contemplating and being in that loop of thought, right? So, like, Buddha says that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So, bad thought, fine. But then I suffer, right? And this is when we are
Mm.
taking about this, complaint free life. It's about this habitual, this loopy habit that comes, like Nandini was also very beautifully saying, it's just going on, it's just going on. This whole thing that I am good, the world is bad. For example, we don't maybe say it so loudly, but do we not feel it? Anything, anytime happens, if there are four people fighting, all four of them will feel equally justified. And if I were to go to each one of them, they'll tell me how they are right and the other could be wrong. So this self thing, right? Like on one aspect, we say love yourself and be your friend and always stand by your side. And yet, if I'm fighting for wrong reasons or for things that don't matter, that is not standing by your side. So this discernment, this, it's like कीचड़ में कितना लपेट रहे हो कीचड़ तो है ही बट लपट लपट के बोल रहे हो कि दिस मोर मड दिस मड दिस मड दिस मड so I'm becoming more muddy. I am being mastered, that thing we read from Khalil Gibran. So that's basically the thing that I think one needs to basically shake the foundations of that I can do that less, or I don't have to indulge in it, or I don't have to judge it. A thought came and it went. I didn't catch it, it didn't become a gramophone. And lots of our thoughts are like those gramophone players that they keep on coming again and again from years and years. And that's what I think makes it suffering, and that can be avoided.
When we had, I think, last two sessions on complaint-free world, I was on think about complaining. Somebody who really comes to my mind is also Ramdas, and one of his thing and his mantra. Somebody actually asked him when he was in deep pain because of half of his body got paralyzed, and he was in Maui, and very deep pain, and somebody came to see him, and his caretaker said that, sorry, somebody's come to see you, so I will say, I will say no, that you can't see, because he was in deep pain and medications were not helping. And he said, no, I would like to see them. And well, the person came, and of course, the person and was there for an hour and a half, and Ramdas kept quiet. He was chanting his mala and everything like that. And he went away. And in the evening, the caretaker came and asked Ramdas that, like, why did you let him in? You could have, you're in pain. How could, whole idea that how could we give to others if our cup is not full, and all of that. And Ramdas just smiled and he said, one of my mantras in life that Maharaj Ji has given it to me, his guru, Deen Karoli Papa, is it's all perfect. It's all perfect. And so, of course, he elaborated that this ability of opening your heart even in the hell that we call hell, knowing that everything is the way it should be. So even if I'm complaining, even if I am fat, even if I am losing my hair, or whatever, because in good times it's very easy to say it's all perfect. We all say, oh, it's perfect. It's only when things don't go our way. But really, and Ramdas, somebody who really lived, he exemplified that how the meaning of life can change when you believe that all is perfect. And my own addition to it is that when something is really unbearable for me and I feel really hard, because I have a very strong personality, and when you have a strong personality, it's not easy to accept things. I'll just go and sit in front of mother's picture, and I'll just say, it's all perfect because you are the architect of my life. And that's it. And when I say this, there's so much of relief. All the complaining, all the thoughts just melt down, because this heart always tells you that it is not me. Just this belief, if even if for a day, in 24 hours, if this belief can be certain that it is not me who is driving my car, I've given my car in the hands of the Supreme. It could be so beautiful. Like, you won't complain. How could you complain? Like, you'll see a flower, I sometimes see the sea, I sometimes see the sky, and I just feel like, God, how can I complain? Everything is so, so beautiful. Look at the architect that I am surrendering my life to. If I can, or even if I'm aspiring, everything will melt away. I mean, like all these conscious exercise that we do. Krishnamurti also say that attempt, or sometimes your too much trying, can also become a bar, because it's not spontaneous. So just that, like, I can share the talk is beautiful by Ramdas, that all is perfect, and how he lived that kind of mantra. So just thought of sharing that, yeah.
Thank you, Nandi. Yes, please do share. That's something beautiful to end with. And the only, I guess, the thing is for us to do is like, this is something that we all heard and we feel it's beautiful, and we can feel the love and that endless compassion that you were speaking about, basically the love that everything is perfect. And yet, I'm different in a big picture, and I'm different when it comes to my everyday. I might very strongly right now might have been moved by what you shared. And yet, once I switch the laptop off and I'm out, there would be the smallness of things that I allow myself to feel and react to. So that big picture has to be now actively, more and more, like, the sunshine has to be put, the light has to be put into my everyday small dark corners. And that's when life changes. Otherwise, all these, these sessions, these readings, they just remain to the entertainment level, that some people like to play cards, some people like to drink, some people just like to come to sessions and talk. I mean, it just feels not nice saying it, but we do that. We just enjoy the joy, and it's beautiful, but it cannot and it must not just be that. We have to make conscious efforts to see how this beauty that I just felt, how do I make it more every day for me? And that's the effort, that's the sincerity. This is the reason why we need grace, because if it's only left to us, it's very difficult. So we'll end the session here. We went a little bit over. Apologies for that. So just, I had found something last week I forgot to share. It was very beautiful. And just sharing it as we end, that it's a small prayer. The mother says that, Supreme Lord, a year has passed and is coming to an end. In profound silence, I implore thee that past errors may never be repeated. With infinite gratitude, I bow before thee, the Mother. So with this aspiration, this prayer in our hearts and our minds, in our actions and our thoughts, ending the session, thanking Grace, thanking Divine for their presence, for the light of their words, their teachings, their love in our hearts, which are wanting us to become and choose the higher in ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Taru. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Taru.